So, again, as we did with Snipe's 1997 rosters, as we did with his 2007 rosters as well, we're going to mess around now with the 2011 custom file that he put out, again, for Series S or Series X. Download files, you'll find Snipe and Score there. It will not be all that difficult. He's right there towards the top where he belongs. Hit Y, hit View Creator Files. And you will find these 2011 rosters. We did a full rundown of these in terms of the custom jerseys and the, what else? The actual rosters themselves. Easy for me to remember. So it's going to be kind of just a one-year sim. We're going to kind of see how everything plays out with these rosters. And then eventually, maybe, possibly, potentially, we will do a longer playthrough if I can either make the edits to this that I want to make, which again would be along the lines of just putting the normal Patrice Bergeron, even though he'd be older than he should be, but putting the normal Patrice Bergeron on this team, for example, and that would give me more room to add in prospects from future years. That's how I'd prefer to do things. In terms of subbing out the teams, again, it is something that you can do. For the sake of time, I don't think I will. But with Snipe's rosters, again, just go to custom teams, go to Anaheim, go to Atlanta. It's easy enough to sub them out. But for the most part, it's personally what I would do to have the more appropriate jerseys for the time. But because I don't think we'll see too much gameplay, we will just kind of leave this as it is. Of course, Vegas, kind of the best of the Russians. At this stage, you'd sub them out for that particular team. But, God, Anaheim, again, led by Getzlaf, Solani, and Perry. It's beautiful. Of course, I'd love to use the 2011 Bruins, and I might someday. Calgary with the Ginla and Kipper. Who do we want to use for this little test run? Rick Nash with the Jackets. Datsuk, Lidstrom, Zetterberg is crazy. Obviously, we want to be a team that has a decent chance of making a run here. Devils with Brodeur, Kovalchuk, and Parise, which is ridiculous. God, these rosters are they're beautiful. I think we got to be San Jose. I was going to be Vancouver for the memes because they are the obvious team. Man, St. Louis, Stamkos, the Cavalier, and Tampa, though. Or we could be good old Toronto. Good old Toronto. It is very much between Vancouver and San Jose for me. Let's just run with the Canucks. Why not? Let's run with the Canucks. Obviously at the time too, you'd want to put Detroit back in the West. You know what? Let's do that really quickly. Let's set this up appropriately. Okay. So, bad idea to try and reset these because obviously you're going to have to make some choices if you want to have the divisions be accurate for the time. Because, yeah, unlike in, say, NBA, actually, NBA has a bit more customization, but we don't have the ability to say, hey, in 2010 and 2011, there were actually 3 divisions per conference. Yeah, we don't have the ability to do that. So, it's just going to end up being a little bit wonky. Let's just leave the divisions to where they were now. It's fine. Again, we don't have to get overly invested. This is just more about seeing how things play out. We will turn off computer trades, too. I want everyone to kind of keep their team the same. It's the good old Abbotsford Canucks. So, man, if you really wanted to, you could go through. You can make the AHL teams, too. Well, no, you can only do the one, right? God. Yeah, we can't even fully edit the AHL teams. It'd be nice to bring back, like, the Abbotsford Flames. Or the Abbotsford Heat, I should say. So, in the first draft class there, again, not everybody is able to be added in due to the limitations, but Landeskog, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Jonathan Huberdeau, Nikita Kucherov, Zach Bowman. Computer-generated Zach Bowman, but Zach Bowman was the name of a real prospect. And is there a decent enough goalie in this draft, Snipe? I don't think there was there? Never mind, there was. John Gibson, Jordan Bennington, also added in. Fair enough. No real overly notable defenseman, though. Except Martin Cope and his cousin Martin Seeth. So that's a sim to the beginning here. Second year has more goalies like Vasi and Hellebuck. Very nice. Let us sim here to the beginning of the season. And I want to see what the AI happen to do for their lines, like we do pretty much in every other franchise. Although, let me just double check the rules real quick. Blockbuster trades won't matter. Morale meetings can be off. Waivers can be on. Obviously, none of this will pop up. None of this really matters for us, since this will be super short term. We will turn off auto-rotate goalies so we can get a decent amount of time for one Mr. Corey Schneider as our backup. Because who doesn't want to give Corey Schneider his proper credit? We do have a custom slider set on, but of course it doesn't really affect everything all that much. So this Canucks team, this sweet, beautiful Canucks team. Obviously, again, it's Luongo and Schneider. Eddie Lack is technically there. Maybe we'll bump up Eddie Lack because the AHL doesn't really matter. It's Edler, Ehrhoff, Hamhuis. Man, Ehrhoff at an 85 is a top 2 defenseman. Hamhuis, Bieksa, Ballard, and Rome. There's nobody else there. And for forwards, the Sedins, Kessler, Samuelson, piece of shit, Mason Raymond, Tambellini, LaPierre. Nobody else to really worry about. Gotta make sure injuries are off too for this particular run. We'll just go best lines in the AHL and never care about it. So yeah, forward-wise, or goalie-wise, I should say, again, Luongo, Schneider. Defensively, I mean, obviously, we're just going to keep our coach the way they are. Man, this coach fits this defense perfectly. My God. All right, so Bieksa's the only right-handed shot on this team, huh? 3.5 star, 3.5 star. Basically, you don't want Aaron Rome or Keith Ballard on the offhand. We'll go Edler, Bieksa. Let's go with Ballard, Ehrhoff, Rome, Hamhuis. Just that the left-handed shots are actually people who have good shots. And then forward-wise, wow, these +5s. Good Lord. I wasn't going to put Mikael Samuelsson on the top line, but we might have to. Do they not have, like, a good amount of right wings? Like, Yannick Hansen's right-handed. Samuelson's right-handed. LaPierre's in the off wing. Kessler, obviously, we want at center. They got a real shortage of right-handed shots, huh? Tanner Glass is the man out of the lineup. Well. I think Jeff Tambellini is going to have to take a seat here, even though he's listed as a grinder. We'll go with Tanner Glass for the probably will end your career with a headshot line. Hanson, Malhotra, Higgins is a pretty damn good line. And obviously piece of shit, Kessler and Mason Raymond. It was a damn good team. Not a good enough team, but it was a damn good team. That will be what we roll with for this little test run. Let's take a look around the league here. So the Ducks have Solani, Getzlaff, Perry, Blake Koivu, Ryan, McMillan, Chipchura, Yarko Rutu, Winchester, Marchant, and piece of shit, who was terrible at his job. Defensively, Vishnofsky, Boscheman, Ludman, and a young Cam Fowler. Spiza and Andreas Lilia, who I always think of as a Red Wing. Hiller and Emery in goal. Oh, the Phoenix Coyotes, of course, if you make that changeover. But it is Whitney, Hansel, Doan, Bod Couture's Verbata, Payet, Belanger, Stempniak, Korpikoski, Fiddler, and Bissonnette. It's honestly not that bad of a team. Like, this team, the following year, would lose to the LA Kings in the conference final. So, they weren't that bad. Yandel Lecoin, Joe Vokop, and Derek Morris, Rusty Klesla, and Michael Roosevelt. In goal, Ilya Brizgalov and Jason Lababra, with a very young Oliver Ekman-Larsson as a healthy scratch. I mean, I can't say I blame them, personally. The Bruins. Boy, the Bruins. Lucic, Bergeron, Recchi. Marchand, Krejci, Horton. Peverly, Savard, Ryder. Thornton, Kelly, Sagan. Big chef's kiss to this team. Defensively, Chara, Boychuk, Caberlet, McQuaid, Seidenberg, and Ferentz. Not bad at all. Of course, Seidenberg would really be on the top pair with Chara, but... The goaltenders, Mr. Jimothy Thomas, Tuukka Rask, and Gregory Campbell as a healthy scratch, which obviously wouldn't happen IRL. Mark Savard would be out of the lineup and Soupy would be in. Buffalo, Thomas Vanek, Derek Roy, Jason Pominville, Ennis Connolly and Brad Boys, Jochen Hecht, Paul Gostad, Drew Stafford, Gerby, McCormick, and Mike Greer. You know, Snipe said he had one of his friends win a cup with Buffalo in Season 1. It honestly doesn't surprise me, especially off of that top line. Like, they're all first-line forwards. You got Leopold and Myers, Andre Sekera and Steve Monador, Sean Morrison and Mike Weber. And then, as mentioned, Ryan Miller is there with Jonas Enroth. Scratches of Rob Niedermeyer. And, of course, Mike Cornell, who's there as a filler player. Anybody with a picture is just a filler player, basically. Carolina has a very young Jeff Skinner, Eric Stahl, Corey Stillman, Eric Cole, Jokinen, Talusti, Bodie Sutter, Dwyer, LaRose, Boychuk, and Tuomo Rutu. On the fourth line. Why? Aziz, thank you very much for the host. Welcome to a ripple in time. We're using Snipe and Score's 2011 rosters. Unfortunately, we still have NHL 22 AI logic when it comes to building their teams. Pretty much no matter what we do. Pickenen, Corvo, Allen, McBain, Gleason, and Jay Harrison. Goalie Cam Ward, Justin Peters behind him. Probably because he hit 300 people that year. But still, it's a bit ridiculous. CBJ with Rick Nash, RJ Umberger as a top-line center, and Jake Voracek. Upshaw, Broussard, Vermette, Calvert, McKenzie, Dorset, Clark, Paulson, Bold. That team has some grit. Man, John Tortorella got there a couple years late. This was a team built for his heart. Zach Boychuk, follow me on Twitter. He did once upon a time. Aziz, how'd the stream go, by the way? Does Zach Boychuk still follow me? He does! And of course, as Sin mentioned yesterday, all he does is hawk fucking Bitcoin and NFTs. So, you might want to put that account on mute. Fucking hell. Defensively, Fedor Tutin and Anton Strawman, Mark Mathot, Craig Rive, Chris Russell, and Jan Hayda. Goalie-wise, Steve Mason, Matthew Aguero, Gregory Hoffman, and Robin Norrell. Oh, Calgary, Alex Tangay. Brendan Morrison was a Flame. I don't remember that at all. And, of course, Jerome McGinley, Curtis Glencross, Olli Okinen, Rene Bork, Moss, Shatan, Kostopoulos, Hagman, Backlund, Jackman. Defense is Bomeister, Babchuk, Giordano, Steos, Regier, and Saric. The goalie is the Kipper, Mika Kiprusoff. Henrik Karlsson, the backup. No notable scratches. Chicago, host of Taves and Kane. Frolik, Sharp, Brower, Stahlberg, Kopechki, Pisani, Bickle, Dowell, Boland. Defense is Keith Seabrook, Campbell, Campoli, Chalmerson, and Letty. Goalie is Corey Crawford and Marty Turco. No notable scratches there either. Colorado has David Jones, Paul Stastny, Milan Hayduk, Fleischman, Duchesne, and Ryan O'Reilly. McLeod, McClement, Brandon Yip, Winnick, Dupuis, and Kevin Plata. The defense, Lyles and Eric Johnson, Ryan Wilson, Adam Foote, Matt Hunwick, and Ryan O'Byrne. Goalies, Peter Budai and Brian Elliott. Brian Elliott is an Av. No real memory of that either. Dallas has Louis Erickson, Brad Richards, and Jamie Langenbrunner. Jamie Benn, Scumbag, and Brendan Morrow. Ott Wandell and Burish, Sotheby, Peterson, Sieg. Oh my god, that bottom six is awful. Defense, Trevor Daley, who just signed in the ECHL, which is bizarre. And Stefan Robida, Goligoski, and Skrasjinch, Grossman, and Jeff Wojciechowski. Goalie is Lettinen and Raykop, Blizak, Divine. Thank you for the follow. Greatly appreciated. There is a... Dude, it is winter. There is a blizzard outside, and I got a gnat just moving around my monitor here. What is this? Detroit, Johan Franz and Pavel Datsyuk, Yuri Hudler, Flipper, Zetterberg, and Bertuzzi, Abdelkader, Helm, Eves, Holmstrom, Miller, Dan Cleary. That's a hell of a team. Defense is Lidstrom, Rafalski, Cronwall, Stewart, Eriksson. On the right of one, Ruslan Saleh, the legend. Ruslan Saleh. Goalies, Jimmy Howard and Chris Osgood. See, Edmonton, a very young Taylor Hall. Sam Gagner and Leshemsky. Omar, Korkhoff, Eberle, Cogliano, Fraser, Jones, Jacques, Reddick, and Payarvi. Ooh, boy, good old Liam Reddicks. Let's see, defensively, good old Ryan Whitney. Tom Gilbert, Vandermeer and Foster, Schmid and Theo Peckham. Goalies, the Bulenwall and Devin Dubnik. Let's see, Florida, Samsonov, Weiss and Dodonov. David Booth, Mike Santorelli, Nick Bergfors, Olis Reasoner, Bernier, Hordichuk, Matthias, Jack Skilly. Not great. Kulikov and Weaver, Garrison, Callahan, Ellerby, and Sulzer. Oh, Florida. Oh, Florida. Bo Kuhn and Scott Clemenson. The goaltenders. Kings have Ryan Smith, Kopitar, and Justin Williams. Penner, Hanzus, Simmons, Ponikarovsky, Stoll, Richardson, Clifford Lewis, and Dustin Brown on the fourth line. Why? Put Brown on the second line or even the first line? Just... God, the AI sucks. Jack Johnson, Drew Doughty, Willie Mitchell, Matt Green, Martinez, and Rob Scuderi. Goalies are Quick and Jonathan Bernier. Let's see, Minnesota. Andy Brunette, Pierre-Marc Bouchard, Marty Havlat, Colin Koivu-Kobasu, Nystrom, Madden, Clutterbuck, Staubitz, Brodziak, and Antti Miettinen. So you got Schultz and Burns, Zanin, Zidlichky, Stoner, and Spurgeon. The goalies are Nick Backstrom and Jose Teodor. Let's see, Montreal, Camilleri, Plekanec, and Gianna. Pouliot, Desharnais, Andre Kostitsin, Darsh, Gomez, Halpern, Pyatt, Eller, Moen. Got Hammerlick, Wisniewski, Spacek, Subban, Mara, and Sopel. Again, no Markov as he was injured for a lot of the season. Carey Price and Alex Ald, the goaltenders. The Devils, Kovalchuk, Eliash, Parise, Clarkson, Zajac, Ralston, Teddenby, Zubra, Steckel, Pelly, Mayer, and Zharkov. Andy Green, Mark Fain, Talinder, Volchenkov, White, and Salmela. Oh god, that defense is not good. But they do have Johan Hedberg and Matan Brodeur at 38 years old. Future Blue. I'll mention it every single time.
Oh, good for you.
Goodness, that's just a name. That's just gibberish. Thank you for the follow. Kostitsin, Fisher, Erat, Dumont, Legwan, Sullivan. This team was god tier in like NHL 11 versus. God tier. Telling you, NHL 11 versus was my jam. This was my team. I don't know why. You'd have everyone using Tampa, and it's like, oh, Stamkos, St. Louis, look how it's like, fuck no, Nashville. You got Suter, Weber, Bouillon, and Klein, Shane O'Brien, and Cody Franzen. Goalies, Pekka Rinne and Anders Lindback. Islanders have Molson, Tavares, Parento, Grabner, Bailey, Okposo, Como, Kanopka, Nielsen, Martin, Joensuu, and Gillies. I'd probably play Kanopka at center and play Franz Nielsen at center, but okay, you do you, game. That way, Joensuu on the wing doesn't have to play, but dumb AI, what are you going to do? McDonald, Uchina, Hillen, Martinek, Gervais, and Hamonic. Got Al Montoya and Rick DiPietro, and again, as we saw earlier, DiPietro, his contract goes up to $11 million upon being reset. Whew. New York Rangers have Frolov, Anisimov, Gaborik, Dubinsky, Stepan, Callahan, Wolski, Christensen, Boyle, Prust, Avery, and Fedotenko. Defense is McCabe, Girardi, Stahl, Gilroy, Del Zotto, and Eminger. The goalies Lundqvist and Martin Biron. The Sens have Alfredson, Spezza, Mahalik, Smith, Foligno, Shannon. Got Ryan Shannon. Colin Green and Peter Reagan, Eric Condra, Butler, Winchester, and Neal. Oof. Got Gonchar and a young Eric Carlson. Kuba Karkner, Phillips, and Brian Lee. Goalies Anderson and Curtis McElhaney. Flyers have Hartnell, Carter, Briere, Richard Giroux, Zherdev, Leno, Betts, JVR, Carcillo, Powell, and Versteeg on the fourth line. Got Pronger, Timonen, Carl, Coburn, Mazarosh, and O'Donnell. Bobrovsky and Brian Boucher in goal. Pittsburgh, James Neal, Crosby, and Tyler Kennedy. Kunitz, Malkin, Kovalev. So at least the AI is smart enough to do what Pittsburgh would do in real life. Just be like, okay, let's put the good guys with Malkin. Crosby, you can have Tyler Kennedy. Have fun. And it would work. Cook, called him by his legal name. Scumbag. Letestu, Talbot, Rupp, Stahl. Man, they put Jordan Stahl on the fourth line instead of the third. The AI is so dumb. God, they're dumb. Martin, Letang, Orpik, Mahalik, Englund, Niskanen. They need to fix that, and they probably won't this year because, let's be honest, it's fucking January. They also have Pascal Dupuis scratched in favor of Mike Rupp. God, this is just depressing how dumb the AI are. The Seattle Kraken represent the North America Future Stars. So again, a lot of the better young prospects are here. Nyquist, Shen, Gallagher, Johansson, Johnson, Atkinson, Kreider, Marchessault, Stone, Palat, Gord, Toffoli. Defense is DeHaan, Branson, Dumoulin, Barry, Oleksiak, and Sherratt. Goalies, Grubauer and Mrazek. And a bunch of other dudes in the AHL. Sharks have Heatley, Thornton, Setaguchi, Klo, Marlowe, Pavelski, my God, McGinn, Mitchell, Mayers, Eager, Couture on the fourth line, and Nickel. Oh my God. Raheel, we haven't started simming yet, so you're just in time. Vlasic, Boyle, Murray, and White, Wallin, and Demirs. Goalies, Niemi and Nidimaki. Beautiful. The lovely St. Louis Blues. Steen, Backus, Oshie, Perron, McDonald, Stewart, Crombie, Berglund, Jansen, Porter, Sabaka, and Reeves. So much grit. Jackman, Petrangelo, Kolyakovo, Shattenkirk, Nikitin, and Roman Polak. So much grit. Yaroslav Halak and Ty Conklin. Imagine if the Habs had kept Yaroslav Halak. Lightning have Gagne, Stamkos, St. Louis, Malone, LeCavalier, Downey, Bergenheim, Moore, Purcell, Terrell, Thompson, and Hall. Defense is a very young Victor Hedman, Pavel Kabina, Clark and Brewer, Oland, and Randy Jones. Dwayne Rollison and Mike Smith. Mike Lundin is a scratch. Leafs have Lupul, Grabowski, Kessel, Kuhlman, Bozak, MacArthur, Schustrom, Kadri, Armstrong, Brown, Brent, Crab. What a team. Got Phaneuf and Shen, Gunnarsson, Komisarek, Lebda, and Ali. Reimer and Jaguar as the goaltenders. Vegas represents the best of the KHL, if I'm not mistaken, or at least the best of Europe. Nagy, Dmitry, Yager, Radulov, Yashin, Sikora, Kozlov, Belmar, Zednik, Tarasenko, Nedved, and Afinogenov. Ozelinch, Malik, Ninima, Vananen, Ekholm, and Klingberg. Goalies Hasek at 46 and Evgeny Nabokov. Islanders legend. And the Winnipeg Jets / Atlanta Thrashers, Andrew Ladd, Nikita Antropov, Blake Wheeler, Kane, Little, Dvorak, Bolton, Schremp, and Chris Thorburn. Mistroff, Stapleton, Stewart. Defense is Enstrom, Bufflin, Hainsey, Bogosian, Oduya, and Mark Stewart. Goalies Pavelektric, Chris Mason. That brings us in improper alphabetical order to the Washington Capitals with Ovechkin, Backstrom, Semin. I'll have to break out the Semin jersey. Sturm, Johansson, and Knubel, Chimera, Hendricks, Bradley, Gordon, Like, and Arnott. Defense is Schultz, Green, Alsner, Weidman, Scott Hannon, and John Carlson. Goalies Michael Neuwirth and Semyon Varlamov. John Erskine is a scratch. So let's see then how a season happens to sim. I actually will put auto rotate back on, and we'll just go for it. We will turn injuries off, but let's put auto rotate back on, and we'll go for it. Let's just see how this all plays out. It's kind of what I want to do. Like I said, there might be something more long-term with these rosters soon, but I have so much going on I'm trying to balance that I couldn't do it properly right now. So let's do it. The full season sim. Trades are off, so we'll pretty much just be able to look at how this is going to play out. So Now I have to decide what team will be fun to use for this sim. There's so many options. And I mean, obviously, like, naturally, I think you'd go towards a Vancouver. You'd go towards a Boston, just a repeat. San Jose, because they were very much kind of at their peak of power. Unfortunately. I guess I kept retired numbers on. So make sure you play with retired numbers off if you want the Sedins to be able to have their numbers. God, well, Calgary would be really fun to use. Ginla's still there. Kipper's there. Could keep, use the Blue Jackets and obviously keep Rick Nash. You could keep the Thrashers in Atlanta. Anaheim, you could make a run for one more cup with Teemu. Obviously, Buffalo could be interesting for the fact that you have Ryan Miller. Ottawa still has Alfredson and Spezza. There are very few teams that would not be overly interesting. Just name every team. Well, I'm not going to name, like, the Florida Panthers, because they suck ass. Let's be honest, it took the Panthers 10 years from this point just to be good, for God's sakes. One more cup with the Brodeur-led Devils. Keep Rick DiPietro on the Islanders and try to win. There you go. There you go. One more cup with Datsuk and Lidstrom in Detroit. Goodness gracious. Man, this Vancouver team is a wagon, though, as they should be. Probably going to hit 50 wins. Top team in the division. Clinched a playoff spot as well. I know the webcam's cutting that off, but that's okay. I'm jealous at how fast the sims... Oh, dude, next-gen consoles and the way they sim. It's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. So let's take a look then. We said 50-win season. We won 51 games. Daniel Sedin led the way, again, on medium settings for scoring. But 51, 26, and 5. The Sharks also picked up over 100 points. The Vegas Golden Knights Russian team managed to make the playoffs as well. So congrats to the KHL. Calgary made it, and the LA Kings made it as well. The Ducks missed out by just a point. The Oilers by 4. And again, the North American future stars, the Seattle Kraken, not great. My God. In the Central, St. Louis, Chicago, and Colorado made it. Dallas also missed out by just a point. Minnesota missing out by 2. Coyotes weren't really close. Preds weren't close. And the Winnipeg Jets / Atlanta Thrashers absolutely sucked. Oh, they sucked. I don't think it was outright the KHL superstars, but like the best of Team Europe. Which it just coincidentally is a lot of KHL representation there. LOL at Colorado making it. I mean, the power of a very young Matt Duchene. You know? Honestly, this would be the best way to look at these teams now. As long as these are accurate. I don't know if they are, but it's like, hey, here's everybody. You don't get to see the overalls, though. In the Atlantic Division, Boston didn't make the playoffs. Worst rosters ever. Detroit, Tampa, Montreal, and Florida all made it. Buffalo missed out by 4 points. The Bruins missed out by 5. Toronto was about 9 points off the pace, and the Sens absolutely sucked. Worst person to get that result, right? Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Again, franchise is going to franchise. That's just how it works. And in the Metro, the Rangers, Penguins, Flyers, and Caps all made it. Devils missed out by 3 points. The Blue Jackets went horribly far off. 10 points back for the Hurricanes. And the New York Islanders were absolutely awful. So the Rangers were the top team in the league. The Islanders were the worst. The Islanders were worse than the North American future stars. Holy hell. Dude, they couldn't score goals. 167 goals to 291 for the Lightning. My God. Let's look at the points. So for your Canucks, Daniel Sedin led the way. Henrik was pretty far behind. Kessler at 71. Scumbag at 66. Mason Raymond didn't put up nearly as many points as you'd think. Medium scoring did some players on this team dirty. Defensively, 49 points for Edler. Ehrhoff with 40. 100 penalty minutes each for Ballard and Bieksa. And goalie-wise, 917 for Luongo, just a 9, or an 898, I should say, for Corey Schneider. Oof. Oof. Around the league, Sidney Crosby hit 99 points with 54 goals. Paul Stastny, second in the league. You had Ovi up there, Martin St. Louis, Martin Havlat, Nick Bergfors went off. Holy shit. Jerome McGinley, Nick Backstrom, Brad Richards, Joe Thornton, all over a point per game. And you see guys who at least broke 80. David Booth had 80 points. Fucking go off Florida, my God. So the top goal scorer was Crosby. Kessel was up there for the Leafs. Ovi, Booth, Zetterberg, Perry, St. Louis, Havlat, Carter, Vander Kane, Teemu Solani. All hit at least 40. Assist king was Nick Backstrom with 67. Best plus minus was a plus 30 for Corey Perry. The worst was a minus 43 for Chris Kreider of the North American Future Stars. Most penalty minutes belong to Steve Downey with 244. Zenon Konopka, Jamal Mayers, piece of shit, Adam Mayers, BJ Crombie, and Darcy Hordichuk all hit at least 200. Good lord. Most shots, Jerome McGinley, beat Brad Richards by 1. Most game-winning goals, Zetterberg, Callahan. Oh my god, quite a few guys had 9, including Eric Belanger on the Coyotes. Power play goals, 17 for Ovi. Ice time leader was Jonathan Taves. Face-off king was Patrice Bergeron, you're goddamn right. The hit king for forwards, Johan Franzen, 228. You had Mike Fisher up there as well. David Backus, Rick Nash, Martin Hansel, P. Parento, and Ryan Clough, all over 200. Block shot leader for forwards was Franz Nielsen with 39. And the most fights, 40 for Zenon Konopka. Jamal Mayers at 37. Downey, Hordichuk, Cook, all over 30. Good lord. Good lord. Whew. Let's take a look at defensemen. As you had Nick Lidstrom with 90 points in 82 games. Good God. Mike Green was up there. And look at the gap between Lidstrom and Green. And then look at the gap between Green and Lyles. My goodness. Mike Green and Nick Lidstrom, the premier point-producing defenseman. Jack Johnson was up there, though. Goal-scoring king had to have been Mike Green. PK also hit 20. You had Chara, 19 goals. Does have a 5-star shooting category, so you'll love to see that. Eric Johnson, James Wisniewski. Assist king for defensemen was Lidstrom with 74. Penalty minute leader, Matt Karkner. Steve Monador, Shane O'Brien all broke 200 penalty minutes. Whew. Shot leader, 322 shots for Dustin Byfuglien. Shot 2.2%. Oh, that's awful. Ice time leader was Drew Doughty. He and Jack Johnson, 27 minutes a night. Hit leader was Shea Weber. Brent Burns, Ryan Whitney. Block shot king was Brent Burns as well. What a season for Burnsy. Most giveaways, Matt Green. Most takeaways, Shea Weber. And the fight leader was Matt Karkner. Ian Monador. Each had over 40 fights. It's just a frickin' bloodbath on ice. For goalies, the winningest was Marc-Andre Fleury. Luongo was up there. Shutout leader was Carey Price with 10. And in terms of who's winning the Vezina, surprise, surprise, it's probably Carey Price over Antti Niemi or Henrik Lundqvist. Any goalie goals? No goalie goals. Goalie points. Holy shit. 6 points for Roberto Luongo, and then a bunch of goalies with 3. Shout out to Luongo. 6 points on the year. So the playoffs then, it will be Canucks and Kings, Sharks and Team Europe, St. Louis, Calgary, Chicago, Colorado. In the East it is, of course, Detroit was in the West at the time, but in the East it is Detroit and Florida, Tampa and Montreal, Rangers and Caps, and the Battle of Pennsylvania. Let's, God, we should see what happens here, shouldn't we?